Are you tired of the typical libraries with conventional music that makes you feel meh? Introducing Leerecs.com, the music website made for and by minds like you. Our team are lifelong musicians and producers in love with music. Search the Leerecs music catalogs and find music with guaranteed originality. Mark the difference with music of signature at Leerecs.com.
This is Lore by a band named Elder. Elder is an amazing band that I know for years and I admire. Their music is incredible, as you're going to discover if you didn't know them before. And we are so fortunate. We have Nick, who is the composer, singer, and lead guitarist of this fantastic band. Hi Nick, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing fine, thanks. How about you?
I'm really, really glad and excited to have you, really. I think I have most of your records, if not all of them, and the music is just amazing. It really transcends whatever you can hear these days. Is really, really profound, and I really want to learn everything about your, how you started, your influences, how you compose, your techniques. So please introduce yourself and your band.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for your kind words. Like you already said, my name is Nick DeSalvo, and I'm primarily a guitarist. And in Elder, my main role is guitarist and vocalist. And over the years, kind of branched out into a bunch of other instruments, keys-based instruments. And in general, I'm a multi-instrumentalist and do most of the writing for our bands. But that's not to say the other guys don't have a huge role in our final sound. We started off about 15 years ago as I guess you'd call us kind of like a stoner rock, like psychedelic, somewhere between psych rock, stoner rock, and doom. And over the past, 15 years, we've really kind of progressed to take many other influences into our fold, more progressive sounds, different instrumentation. And I guess nowadays you could still say we're definitely a heavy rock band, but we kind of just play whatever we feel like playing. And that's how we ended up with the Elder sounds, which, I guess for some people is kind of a hard to pin down thing, because it is quite eclectic and quite varied. But I think that's the short version of it all.
It's amazing. It really comes to say that, this is a long-term goal type of thing. 15 years is a long time to be playing together for a band.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, well, we started the band when we were just finishing high school. We were 17, 18 years old, and this was like, I grew up in a small community, and there wasn't like a lot to do. There weren't a lot of musically minded people around, or that's a lie. I mean, there were plenty of people into like hardcore and this kind of stuff. We're from the northeast of the United States. There was like a healthy punk and hardcore scene there, but not a lot of people who were interested in kind of like stoner rock and doom and this kind of stuff. So yeah, we got started as like more or less a hobby band, and somehow through the years it just kept going. It was never really any goal to make this like what we're doing with our lives. We just noticed that we were having a modicum of success and having a blast doing it, and we just kind of never stopped.
It's incredible. Like you are truly dedicated. There was never a premise, besides creating the music that you loved and your passion, right?
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. This definitely was never some sort of planned enterprise to start a band and make it a job. It's always been about, music for the love of music. And, well, if we get rich and famous along the way, I won't say no, but that's never been, a real realistic goal of the whole thing.
Incredible. That's the, that should be the real foundation for any artist, any musicians. You said it yourself. Your sound is really very eclectic. Like what type of influences were ones that you admired when you started? What took you to sound the way you sound these days?
Yeah, well, when we first started the band, I would say the original founding members, Jack, Matt, who's the drummer, who's no longer playing in the band, and we were all mostly into, everything kind of on the extreme side of the spectrum. A lot of, from black and death metal to sludge, stoner stuff. We had, me especially, I had kind of, in my teenage years, I was really into like very extreme metal, and in a weird roundabout way, only got turned on to like Black Sabbath and stuff like that after I'd been listening to extreme metal for a while. So somehow that like kind of really blew my mind when I listened to bands like Electric Wizard or Church of Misery and I Hate God. This kind of like super like doomy, bluesy, and really heavy and groovy music. And that's what really we all got stuck on when we started the band, and we were just like, let's start a band that's kind of in the vein of this. We never really stopped being very active music listeners. And like I work for a record label now. I actually work for our European label. All of us are like big, record collectors. And over the years, as our musical interests have kind of grown, that's really just all trickled into the band too. I mean, a lot of things we listen to you don't hear in the band. But yeah, I'm talking about things like, progressive rock or psychedelic rock, from the 60s up until current age. Just that kind of probably have colored more of like the melody and some of the unexpected elements of the band more than being like an obvious thing. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we're also listening to a lot of stuff that you won't hear, like hip hop or electronic music or something like that. But there's really nothing we're not willing to explore at this point. And I think that's been a lot of the fun in the band. And I think a lot of our listeners appreciate that too. Every time there's a new record, you're never exactly sure what's going to happen, which might be scary for some people, but yeah. I hope that answered the question. I got off track there.
No, it's perfect. Actually, look, one of the reasons I love your band and your music so much is because it's really, really refreshing, and it's really fulfilling for the listener with high expectations. With, for example, for musicians, and I want to dive deeper a little bit because it's not like when you're doing this type of music, it's not like you're gonna follow the let's say the rules. How do you complete a song? What is the process that you feel, okay, this is a complete work, it doesn't need anything else, or the opposite, you have a very good core and then there's something missing? So tell us a little bit of that intriguing process of creating something out of the expectation.
Yeah, well, I guess, it's a weird question to answer because, like we have 5 proper full-length records. We just finished mixing our 6th one, and so far, I think almost without exception, all of them have been like 5 tracks long. All of the songs are around 10 to 15 minutes long, which is kind of like, it's a super unconventional length, and the song structures are also very non-traditional. Sometimes they're just completely like linear structures where nothing repeats at all. And if you're doing that kind of a song, it is kind of difficult sometimes to know, like, when is this thing done? Because you can sometimes you have the feeling you can keep going forever, right. Or maybe you could cut it into 2-3 songs. And I don't really have a good answer other than I think it's a matter of feeling. Like maybe you could liken it to like someone painting a very meticulous picture. Like you could always add a brush stroke, but at some point you just have to like, say that it's done. I personally feel that our songwriting has gotten more cohesive and tighter over the years from record to record, where I think that like the structure it should be surprising and challenging for the first listen, but it should make, it should be the kind of song that invites multiple listens. And by the time you've heard it 3-4 times, you really get it. And I think once you've got that feeling of like a journey and it feels like it's come to a good conclusion, those are really the only criteria I have. So, I can't say much other than just, we also really do a lot of pre-production stuff with our songs, like recording demo versions and, really like having basically by the time we go into the studio to record something, the whole thing has already been recorded out and demoed, to the utmost degree. So we've spent a lot of time already thinking and tweaking, and there's some magic that happens in the studio, but a lot of it, is just kind of like really meticulous pre-production work that gets it to the point where we all feel like this is ready. So yeah, I guess it is just a matter of feeling. I don't really have there's no real metrics that we can use for it other than that. I think if we ever made a song that felt like it was good and complete in 3 minutes and that all the ideas had been, expressed, then we would have no problem with that. But I'm not really that kind of songwriter, for better or for worse.
Wonderful. Absolutely does feel like a journey, and it's really fulfilling. It's really exciting. It's very surprising sometimes, and it's the beauty of it. And like you said, I love that you hear the complete album and it feels cohesive. Is very I don't know how to explain. It's very different, very refreshing the first time. Second time you get to know it, you get to understand it, but it's always like I always discover something new in every new listen, and that's why I love it. And
that's great, yeah, and that's the way it should be. It should be really something that's fun to engage with, and not passive listening music. It's not really background music. It should take your full attention, and if you want it to,
Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, so a little bit more of the pre-production that you were talking about. Are you the type of band that you play together a lot in the studio, or how are you constructing these days? Do you work remotely? Tell us a little bit of this pre-production process.
Well, it's been a really strange couple years for us, not the least because of the whole COVID situation. 3 of our members, myself included, live in Berlin in Germany, and our bassist lives in Massachusetts, where we're originally from. And there's always been a bit of like distance between us throughout the years, because we've never really let the band tie us down geographically. We're always willing to travel and work with the internet and whatever. But so there have been phases where we all lived even in the same house, and we're spending every night in the practice space together writing music. That was towards the beginning of our career, like Dead Root Stirring, our second full length, that was written kind of this way. And over the past years, mostly due to the pandemic, it's really kind of like split up and fractured our way of working together, where I would say Omens, actually, honestly, probably at this point, like the past 2 records and this new one, which we just recorded and just mixed, were pretty much written, mostly by me working at home and recording ideas by myself, and then like basically shopping the ideas to the guy, sending them around and tweaking them and editing them together. So it's been a kind of like, it's not a very romantic way of working recently, but they were just, as like a really long period of time where you couldn't really meet with people. Right. There was even, there was a curfew. We couldn't really go to our practice space for part of the year. It just made working together really difficult, and also not having the whole band together for so long. We just had to kind of reinvent ourselves and think of a way that we could keep going and not let that stop us. And but I think now that we see the light at the end of the tunnel, the next record we do, could be, again, very much more organic, working together in a practice space kind of thing. And I think it's really fun to try out different approaches, and that always puts like new, fresh wind in your sails, you know?
So, absolutely. It's so exciting to really discover more about your, the inner workings of your band. It's really fantastic. About the new release, do you want to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, sure. It's I don't know how much there is to tell right now. Unfortunately, like supply chain problems, general like high demand for vinyl, which is our primary format that we market our music for, has really like caused incredible delays in production. So we actually recorded what's going to be our next record already in August of last year, and have just been able to mix it last week, again due to like pandemic setbacks, shit like that. And we're not looking at a release date until probably November or December of this year. So it's going to, by the time it's out, this album's already going to be quite old to us. So yeah, it's like just a super long process. What can I really say about it other than that? I think it's going to blow a lot of people's socks off. It's a really, really energetic, really, packed to the brim with ideas, very, very well produced, in my opinion. Some of like the best sounds we ever had, and it's a lot of fun to listen to. I'm not really the most articulate when it comes to describing our music. I kind of feel like, it's enough at this point to say like it sounds like Elder. It's always going to be a little new, but it's always going to be sound familiar. Got that kind of like trademark songwriting style, and lots of twists and turns. And yeah, it's just I think it's a really cool record from start to finish. But unfortunately, I don't have much more to say about it at this point than that.
Well, it sounds really, really promising, and I'm definitely gonna get it. So just let me know when it's ready to order, because I'll definitely gonna be getting it.
Yeah, you'll hear it for sure.
Okay, wonderful. It's been an authentic pleasure, and I'm really, this has been a privilege. Thank you so much, Nick. And
yeah, thank you, man.
The only thing, if you had an advice either for yourself when you were starting, or somebody who's in that situation, what do you think that'd be?
Someone who's starting off playing in a band, or is that what you mean?
Yeah, somebody starting right now, wanting to get where you are, or your younger self when you were starting. Is there something you would say to yourself?
I don't know. Maybe that this sounds arrogant. I'm like, or maybe I hope it doesn't. I'm very content with my life, and I'm very happy with how things have panned out for us. We might not be, we might not have reached that rich and famous milestone, but I got nothing to complain about. And I think, that feeling of contentment with what we've achieved with our music, and generally being happy with what we've done. I would just say, if you're out there and trying to get started with the band, like block out the noise of the internet and trends and paid marketing and bullshit, and just listen to your inner self and do what you want to do, and let no one turn you off from that goal, or try to redirect your energy to something that you don't feel is authentic, because authenticity is the only thing that separates real music from the fake bullshit, in my opinion. And I think it is especially starting off today, I think just the stranglehold that the internet has gotten on everyone's mind in the past 15 years. I grew up definitely with the internet too. I'm only in my 30s, but not social media, and I feel like it you can really get too caught up in what other people think and how to appeal to other people, and you might not be listening to yourself as much as you should be. So just go for authenticity, do what makes you happy, and never look back.
Perfect advice. Fantastic. This is everything we could desire from a call with Elder. And Thank you so much, Nick. Once again, I appreciate it. Thank you for making a little bit of your of time for us. This has been fantastic. Looking definitely.
Yes, my pleasure.
Absolutely, definitely looking forward to your new release. It sounds really, really promising, and congratulations on your trajectory and your discography. They're all fantastic. Thank you for bringing such wonderful, refreshing, different music to the world. Really, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening and enjoying and spreading the word, and we'll keep doing our part.
Fantastic. All right, so we're gonna enjoy a little bit more of lore from Elder. Till the next one.
Tired of the typical libraries with conventional music that makes you feel meh? Introducing Leerecs.com, the music website made for and by minds like you. Our team are lifelong musicians and producers in love with music. Search the Leerecs music catalogs and find music with guaranteed originality. Mark the difference with music of signature at Leerecs.com.